Trump's plan. But he has not backed down. Does he really expect to deport everyone from Gaza? To rebuild under U.S. ownership? What is the strategy here? Dr. Eric Mandel immediately came to mind. We met him here in a report last November. With connections in Washington, D.C. and Jerusalem, he seemed the perfect person to ask about Trump's dramatic proposal. Eric, you may recall, is a surgeon who in recent years has turned to freelance diplomacy and journalism. As a journalist, he is prolific, publishing in as many as 24 media outlets. He is the senior security editor for the Jerusalem Report and a regular contributor to The Hill and the Jerusalem Post. As a journalist, he was also on the Gaza border on the morning of 7 October, where he encountered dead Israelis, but thankfully evaded the terrorists who had just murdered them. Let's ask Eric what he thinks about the release of Eli, Or, and Ohad. And, of course, his read on President Trump's strategy regarding Gaza and Iran. What about Iran?
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know it's a bit last minute. You have a presence in Washington, D.C. and in Jerusalem, which I think makes you an ideal person to talk with about what Trump has recently come up with in these kind of bombshell proposals regarding, well, Hamas in Gaza and the Gazans there, and also with respect to Iran. So, oh, by the way, before we go there, did you see footage from today's release of hostages from Orlevi, Eli Sharabi, and Mohammed Ben Ami?
Yeah, the horrifically emaciated state is, mind-blowing. One of the things that I think about is maybe that's the least of the tortures that they've had. We kind of forget what they and others who haven't survived have gone through. So, it has those images that are analogous to the Holocaust, to the Shoah. But, the cruelty, the level of evil, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I think people need to remember that. I mean, I hate to get really specific, but this may be the best thing that they had to them of all the things that they've had to endure.
Yeah, it's shocking. My reaction here and the reaction of others here in Israel is everyone is just appalled by their look. A lot of people are making comparisons to Holocaust survivors. Some saying that we are losing Holocaust survivors from the 1940s. And now we have new Holocaust survivors in Israel today. Their appearances, they were being held up by Hamas operatives when they were walking up on stage because they were too weak to do so. The footage is just appalling. How do you think Trump is going to react to this, or has he reacted to this?
Trump is no a wallflower when he sees these images to give his visceral reaction here. And I think that's really important, symbolism of the president taking the time to say that this is appalling. And despite the fact that he wants a second stage deal to go on, it's going to be, he's not the most nuanced person to be able to get a second part going here and then maybe to show outrage of what's going on.
In fact, the next day after speaking with Eric, Trump did react. Aboard Air Force One, this is what he said.
I watched the hostages come back today, and they look like Holocaust survivors. They were in horrible condition. They were emaciated. It looked like years ago, the Holocaust survivors. I don't know how much longer we can take that. When I watch that, I know we have a deal where we're supposed to they dribble in and keep dribbling in, but they are in really bad shape. They have been treated brutally, horribly. Even the ones that came out earlier, they were in a little bit better shape, but mentally they were treated so badly. At some point, we're going to lose our patience. When I see that scene that I saw today with people coming out of helicopters and airplanes that are emaciated, that look like they haven't had a meal in a month. No reason for that. And I don't know how much longer we can take it. I don't know how long we can take it. When I watch people that were healthy people, and you look at them today, they look like they've aged 25 years. They literally look like the old pictures of Holocaust survivors. The same thing. I mean, the same thing. And I don't know how long we're going to take that.
Standing in solidarity with the Israeli people they're living in traumatic distress, not post-traumatic distress. They're living through traumatic distress.
And it's not post.
There's no post to it. The solidarity that America has your back, just like he had in that, however you feel about the press conference the other day, that there was zero daylight. And I think this would be an important thing for him to make a comment upon.
Yeah, I woke up to the news of what Trump said about Gaza. He had done it several hours earlier while I was asleep. And my first reaction was, well, what is he really? That actually happened? I had to look at the news just to make sure it was not fake news. But he had, in fact, proposed. Well, tell us what he proposed and what you think it means.
So I think people need to differentiate a few things here. That number one, I think he did not give a plan. I think he had an idea. And even if the idea was so out of the box, it is a worthwhile exercise because people could only think within that box of a failed two-state solution. And what I had said, if I was giving the president advice when he was making that, I would have said, when he was asked that question from one of the reporters saying, have you given up on the two-state solution? And he says, no, I haven't given up on two-state, one state, whatever, would work.
Right.
But I think what he should have said, because remember, 99% of people who are listening have zero historical context, or if they have a context at all, it's revisionist history. And I think he should have said, hey, put up a mirror. They could have had a state in 48. They could have had a state in 67, 2000, 2001, 2007. And not only that, of everything they supposedly wanted, or never even counteroffered, except with the counteroffer was violence, Israel left 100% of Gaza. And what did it turn out to be? One of the most dangerous terrorist infrastructures that Israel didn't even truly understand until it had to go and fight. 700 miles of a tunnel labyrinth that was where all the monies that the foreign aid from European and American and moderate Arabs had given to turn it into a terror structure. And so people need to remember, this was not a wonderful, beautiful place on October 6th. This was a place of radical ideology. Yeah. And it's a place that was just mowing the grass was the best anybody can come up with.
Well, and what Trump proposed was something along the lines of finding different places for all the Palestinians in Gaza to go live. He mentioned Lebanon, Egypt, and since then he's mentioned Portugal. He's mentioned other
Puntland, Somaliland. So I have to say, and I have written and have spoken on television, that I was in favor of and I proposed, but got sort of shot down by both the Israelis and the Egyptians, that there should have been a temporary movement of these people out. I didn't say all 2 million. It could be in stages. But number one, this demolition zone, which is some places 80% destroyed,